For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. 30 minutes about customer service this week. You've had great customer service and you've had terrible customer service. We'll talk both sides right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. All right, so I want to talk about customer service because really, at the end of the day, we're all a customer of somebody at some point. Even when we're being born, we're a customer of the hospital in a sense, right? Customer doesn't always necessarily mean you go and you pay and you get something or you do something, it's just, anyway. So customer service certainly has changed over the years. I've talked about this in my newspaper column, on the radio shows, but I mean, we encounter customer service every day. So it's not like it's anything that's going away. But certainly when I worked in retail many years ago, now we're going back, at least 15 years ago, 16, 20 years ago, that I worked at a mall, I worked in a clothing store, I worked in a luggage store, and I worked in a party supply store. And we didn't have the interactions that customers are having now. Certainly, we believed that the customer was always right. That was always just something that was beat into your head on the first day of training was, you never argue whatever. But at the same time, customers have changed over the years, right? We absolutely did not have somebody coming in with a camera phone right in our face and recording it and streaming it and whatever, right? So I'm actually sort of grateful that I don't work in customer service now because I don't know. I'm a smartass, right? I'm a dick. So I'd probably end up getting fired because I'd played up for the camera, right? And add some extra spice to it. Hey, if you're going to cut me in on your viral video profits, I'll do whatever I have to. So I feel sorry. I'm certainly not knocking anybody that works in the service industry. It's not for me. Not the way things go nowadays. And it's sad too, right? Because we've all seen these videos of people, in a restaurant freaking out and throwing glasses and food or whatever it is. It's the big brawls in the pancake restaurant or whatever it might be, and sometimes even that's just a fight between people. But I wouldn't want to get involved, right? If a fight breaks out in my store, I'm going and hiding. I don't want to be part of the video. I'll grab my phone and I'll record it for that purpose anyway. But anyway, so the point is customer service has really changed, and I'd love to know two things. What sort of customer experience you've had that really stuck with you, that made you sit there and go, are they really treating me like this? Like, I'm the customer, right? I'm saying from a customer perspective. Are you guys really doing this to me? Am I being punked? You're really treating me, the customer, like this? And then on the flip side of that, I want to know, if you're in the service industry, what's the most, the weirdest experience that you've had? Whether it's somebody flipping out on you, maybe you've been the victim of one of those cameras in your faces and you've got to react in the moment and pleasantly because they're recording. So send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. Now, again, I worked in retail before the days of texting and phones, and we didn't have that kind of distraction. The best we had was a radio. That was our distraction, was listening to music all day and talking. I just remember not knowing very much about the products. but making it sound like I did, and then hoping to hell that I wasn't still working there when they came to return the products. That's truthfully what happened. So I don't remember any customer experiences there. I do remember at the Party Store, when I worked at Party City, we just had a really good time. It was just fun. So I was an assistant manager, and then there was another assistant manager, and then the store manager. Well, the other assistant manager, coincidentally, had gone to high school with my sister-in-law. And then the store manager was just a really cool kind of woman, like just a young, she had 2 kids, she was engaged, she loved Sex in the City, like it was that time, right? I was about 21, so 16, 17 years ago. When the store was starting to close, like they were scaling back on the employee, like on the labor hours, manager hours were okay. We were fine. So what we would do is one of us would, bring in breakfast, and we would blast the store music in the morning and hang out, and if we had to make balloon orders or whatever it was that we did. And then when the store would open, it was always very slow on a Sunday. We had to open at noon. That was the law. So for the first half hour, you had the people who were coming in to get the balloons for the baby shower or whatever it was, but it was a very sort of a slow day. And so I decided to just fuck around with, and again, we were all good friends. I should point that out. We were very good friends. So I enjoyed being lazy, and that was sort of the running gag and the joke of the whole thing. So at the end of the balloon counter that we had, there was just a regular inventory computer. It didn't, it wasn't certainly wasn't surfing the internet, and it wasn't a cash register. It was just a DOS computer that you'd look up, you'd type in a number or code and you would get information. That's all you did. And so I would end up just being bored and just screw around to randomly pick numbers and like a UPC number and just see what item it would be, see how much we paid for it, how much the markup is. I just dick around on the computer. And so a customer would come up and they would see that I'm standing there at the very end of the balloon aisle or of the balloon section. And they would come and they would start unloading their basket. And I would still just have my head down, clicking away. And I'd say, once they were finished putting everything on the counter, I'd look up. Oh, hi, are you ready to go? Yes, I am. Great, I'll just help you down there at the register. And again, it's me being a total dick, knowing full well that I'm going to be doing this to them. And so then they'd have to load up their basket. And then we'd go all the way to the end of the counter to the cash register. I've got to tell you, I have told this story for, 15, 16, whatever many years. I still get a kick out of it. And the best part is that I'm in contact with those 2 former coworkers, and I still just laugh, and they're just like, I can't believe that you were like that. So then the other thing that I would do is, again, I would be standing at the front. I would be at that computer. There was a phone right there. And a customer would come to the register at the end of the counter. So I guess maybe they knew that the registers were in a certain area. And they'd be standing there, and all of a sudden I would page, cashier to the front, please. Well, that was our sort of store code, meaning there's a lineup, we need help. And the expectation was that anybody who could work a cash register at that point, provided, they weren't with a customer down the aisle or something, but all hands on deck, basically. Cashier to the front means I need everybody up here, there's a lineup, let's open all the registers or just something. But basically everybody needs to throw their attention to the front of the store and jump on a register. I mean, that's what customer service was back in the day. And so I decided to fuck around with them a little bit. And I would be standing there, again, doing absolutely nothing. I would maybe even be having a clipboard and just doodling something or writing something, but I wasn't near the register. So I would do the page, cashier to the front, please. And I would see one of the other managers on the ladder in the aisle, taking down boxes and restocking, doing something. And all of a sudden, the 2 of them it was almost like a race to see, I've got to get to the front. And then they would kind of quickly look and see there's no lineup, and they just see me standing there, and they would give me the look of death. Like, really? You can't help these people? I gotta kick it. I know. This is why I don't work in customer service, ladies and gentlemen, because you just gotta have fun with it. Truly, I would, if somebody sort of came out swinging or, just ripping me apart and it wasn't my fault, I mean, I would actually take that as a challenge. Like, I would look at them and go, by the end of the day, I want them to feel like they're a jerk. I want them to sort of, after the experience, go, oh, wow, I kind of overreacted and didn't really need to be that way. That was always my thing. And so, yeah. And we also had there were flyers, when there was a sale on. And I mean, this is the thing, is that I understand marketing and all that stuff. So it's the customers not reading the signs, but it's also the store sort of burying the whole up to 60% off, right? Up to is the little small words, but 60% is giant, right? So people haven't read the sign, or they didn't see the up to little letters. And, they would come in, and the best was always when they would, I know that you've bought, 7 packages of these cups because you think these are the ones that are on sale, but they're not. And I know that when you see it go through on the register, that you're going to see the price is wrong. I mean, the price is right, you just have the wrong item. And you're going to question it. So I would even just wait for that. I would wait for you to look up at the till and then look to see. And then you're going to disagree with me. You're going to disagree with the register and say, no, those are the ones on sale. Actually, no, they're not. Yep, right here. I've got the flyer. It says it. I'm like, yeah, it's actually these ones. And it says up to. And again, there's just a sick part of me that took joy in it. I mean, I had to pass the time somehow. I had to make fun for myself. And that was what I did. So. But at the same time, this was also when you really valued a customer's business, and you almost formed relationships. Again, keeping in mind that at a party store, it's a little bit different than just somebody in a store and you bought a pair of socks. I mean, this is, we had people who were planning weddings and everything, so they knew you by name, right? They were calling for you. There was one woman, I've got to tell this quick story before we have to take a break and we'll come back. There was one woman, again, super, super nice. Oh, just a doll. No, I wasn't the one helping her. My colleague Lisa was. And it was, when she'd walk into the store, she would say hi to me. She'd say hi to the store manager. Lisa in? Yeah, I was calling around. But this woman, now again, she was just a little bit over the top. She was planning a bar mitzvah. And she had it very, very detailed. Like, she knew exactly what she wanted. I mean, and we were able to do it. I'm not saying she was demanding and outrageous with her. No. We could accommodate because she'd been in the store so many times and she had visualized the products and everything. So, I mean, she was prepared. If you wanted a good customer, she knows what she wants and is just happy with it and wants to collaborate with you. I almost wanted her to be I was hoping that she'd come in when Lisa wasn't there and I'd steal her away. Ultimately, that was my goal. But anyway, it became a little bit overbearing, and we had the fax machine in the office, right? Fax machines, remember those from back in the day? And this woman would fax very, very detailed plans. We didn't have store email at the time, but we had a fax machine. And in the office, we had a motion sensor for the alarm. She would fax overnight. But I mean, we're talking sometimes 20 pages, and the paper would then fall off the fax machine and go sailing to the floor, trigger the sensor in the office. So we, the three of us, who were at management, would individually get calls from the alarm company going, oh, the alarm's going off. We eventually knew, oh, is it just the office? Because the office was in the center, not quite, it didn't have an outside wall. So you would have had to have triggered one of the other sensors to get to the office. So basically, when you're telling me that it's the office, I'm like, it's fine. Are the doors, the windows, the outside sensors, any motions going? They're like, no, whatever. And yeah, so this woman would basically set off the alarm every other night when she would be faxing her updated plans. So anyway, we had a good time with her. Now let's talk about the negative side of customer service when we come back.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. I said we're going to talk about the bad side, the negative side of customer service. But at the same time, that whole just segment that we had for 10 minutes of me talking about the kind of jerk I wasn't as an employee. But again, I wasn't doing it to purposely piss off people, right? I could do it in such an innocent way that people wouldn't realize that I was fucking around with them, staff or customers. Anyway, but it's interesting how the customer service has changed over the years, and even just the way you can reach out to a company or to an organization for assistance, right? For me, back in the day, I'd look for that 800 number, and I'm going to talk it out, and I want answers, and I want the explanation. Maybe I'll lose my patience as the call drags on, and I don't get the resolution that I want. But certainly, I learned very quickly, like, there's no sense in taking it out on a person if it's not their fault. And same kind of thing at Party City. Like, I ended up just sort of working with the rule of thumb that if you're reasonable and nice, I'm going to help you, and I can go the extra mile. But if you're just going to be a jerk or whatever, I mean, I can just shut down and not help you, because why, right? So I think that's sort of the way people play the game nowadays, and it's weird that it's turned into a game. But no, we're in a day now where, when I call the 800 number, it seems like the people just have no interest in helping you. Not everybody. I mean, some of them are very great. They're very even fortunate to have a job. But they're very peppy. They're very energetic, and it's great. Sometimes it almost comes across as fake, right? Like if somebody who knows me were to see me, let's say I was working in a customer service job. Actually, no, truthfully, let me tell you this story. My assistant, we had gone to Starbucks. I've never had a sip of coffee in my life, so I'm not promoting Starbucks. I don't know what their products are like. They seem popular, but we had gone there, and the woman behind the counter was very nice and peppy. And then even my assistant at the end was like, "Thanks so much. Have a great day." And I just looked at her with this look of disgust. And I was like, that was so phony. Like that was just so, right? So if you know the person, you get when they're being, cheesy or corny. And so I just kind of thought, all right, but that's weird. But that's maybe just how jaded of or cynical or skeptical of society that I am, right? I mean, it's just, the person isn't that happy. They don't care if you have a nice day. They don't. But it does actually strike me, if they don't thank me when I'm going through the store, and it's like, why am I thanking you? I just gave you guys my money. I just spent my money here. But I'm thanking you, and you're just, great. Have a nice day. I'll accept to have a nice day. But to not even have, or they'll hand me the bag and go, there you go, as though they just did me a favor. That happened the other day as well. And I was so tempted to go and say, there you go, like you're sending me on my way, as though no, again, I just made a transaction here. I'm helping pay you. Like, do you see what's going on now? Anyway, but again, we've seen the confrontations with people coming at them, at the employees with the video camera or what have you. I mean, I had an interaction, this was maybe about 2 years ago, where I was it was a dollar store in a neighborhood that's known for not having such pleasant people. So maybe that right there makes the staff have a bit of an edge. But certainly, I was standing in line, and I didn't know who the employee was, but she had a cordless phone, like a store phone, and was talking. And was showboating, was just like walking back and forth. Well, I told him that blah, blah, blah. And when we're at the customer service checkouts, and she was sort of in that area, I ended up saying to the cashier that was ringing me through, and I was like, that's very unprofessional that we're hearing that conversation. And then the guy said, oh, that's right, she was the manager. He's like, oh, well, she's the manager. I'm like, well, but again, even just the way she was talking to the head office or whatever on the phone was that, oh, he's such a liar, blah, blah, blah. And again, like it was almost like she was taking pride in telling off somebody at the corporate office or whoever it was. It sounded like it was somebody higher up in another level. And I was just like, wow, this is really awkward. Because even the people in line are starting to sort of look around and feel uncomfortable. Like, if this is the person who's in charge, like, is she all of a sudden going to start coming and yelling at us? So after I was rung through and she was on the phone still, I kind of just sort of ducked my head so they can see me. And I said, that's really unprofessional. And she started to shout at me saying, excuse me, busy, excuse me, on the phone, excuse me. And I thought, wow. So she's not only having one fight on a phone, she's coming at me swinging. Now, again, maybe I antagonized her a little bit, but at the same time, I kind of just wanted to give her some professional advice and was like, like quiet down a little bit. I didn't call her out. I didn't do anything, vocal, but now she's shouting at me. And I was just like, this is very bizarre. I'm saying, hey, watch your professionalism as a heads up, meaning there's an old lady in line behind me who's kind of deathly afraid of you right now and doesn't feel welcome in your store, and you're coming at me swinging. Excuse me, private conversation, and I was like, oh boy. Now again, the dick in me, not my husband, the dick. Never mind. See, I'm so glad that we can do this on the podcast. The radio show, they would have had me gone, right? Yeah. If I really did have the time or the interest, I absolutely would have stuck around there, for a fight and a battle. I don't think that I would have whipped out my phone, but, it's just, you almost sort of want to prove a point or set the record straight. Like, lady, I'm not the one in customer service. Like, and I'm not being unreasonable by saying to you, hey, just a heads up, you're being a real bitch, and we all hear it. So, like, I'm looking out for you. But there was that. The other time, that it was more the customer experience, and that's what people are calling it nowadays, right? It's not customer, it's the customer experience, the whole enchilada, the whole thing. And for me, it was even before the person got on the phone. So I dialed the 800 number. I'd got an email from the credit card company. And years ago, I was the victim of fraud on my bank account. And basically what happened was somebody did transactions in New York for a whole bunch of us. A whole bunch. It wasn't just me. And, in some cases cleaned out bank accounts. Now, I learned my lesson from my accountant years ago, who said to me, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't just deal with one bank. Don't let them know. You have your mortgage with one, you have your personal banking with another, you have investments with another, you have your business bank account with another. Like you spread the wealth. You don't just, because she said, now again, this is at the time, I don't know if it's still that way, but she said, if the bank knows that they have all of your business, they might be, not saying they will be, they might be unlikely to give you offers and give you deals or lower rates or whatever it might be. If they know that you're doing business with another. So this bank account, I think it only had like $3,000 in it but it was still $3,000 of my money. And ever since then, I've been very cautious. So now the maximum amount that I can take out of a bank machine is such and such, dollars a day. Maybe it's like 50 or 100, I don't know. And it's actually come to bite me in the ass. I've got to tell you, the restrictions have even hurt me when I've tried to do a transaction for whatever, and then all of a sudden I get declined. It was my doing, though. And so anyway, the point is that I've had sort of the accounts, or that one account anyway, really locked down. And to get an email from a credit card company, not this bank, but I'm just still on high alert is what I mean, is I get the email at 11 o'clock at night saying, hey, we've detected some suspect activity, whatever, give us a call to, approve or whatever the transactions or the attempts. And I knew that it was a real email. It wasn't these, prints, whatever, from whatever country. It was legitimate because I set it up that they would do this. And so I call in, and it says that, there's 2 people waiting in line. And I was like, all right, fine. So I'm in the queue, I'm waiting. And the whole music now just repeats over and over again. So now your blood starts to boil when you're going on 10, 15 minutes and there was only 2 people. And it's the fraud line or whatever it's called. So you'd think that it would be a little bit more of a priority. Sitting there, holding. I ordered food that night. Ordered food delivery, it came. And then I've got another food delivery story in a second. Food delivery came, I ate the meal, finished the meal, washed the dishes, sent the dog out one last time before going to bed, and still on hold. And then every time you hear, your call is important to us, I call bullshit on that, because if it was... And at the same time, I realize that it's midnight now, and you don't have a fully staffed call center in whatever country it is, but certainly there's not going to be that... I would expect you're going to have low call volumes, which is why I'm calling in at this time, especially right when you just sent me this email. So then I go, and now in our house there's more than one phone line. There's, 3 cell phones, there's a home phone line, there's an office phone line. And so I thought, oh, you know what, I've got time to kill. I've got time to fuck around. So what I'm going to do, I've still got my call on hold, which is on speaker. Remember back in the day when you didn't have speakerphone and you had to stand in the kitchen with that corded phone on the wall and wait, and then you got the longer cord so you can maybe still make food and go across the room. And now, with cordless phones and speakerphone and cell phone and what have you. And so, I just kept my phone plugged in. But my fear is always that I'm going to wait this long and then we're going to somehow get disconnected when the call goes through or when they put me on hold. And I got to start all over again because that's happened before. So now I'm going on an hour wait time, hour and a half wait time, hour 45 minutes wait time. And I thought, I'm going to go now into my office and I'm going to dial from my office phone the general number and see if I press whatever it is to become a new customer, like I want to apply for a credit card or I want to, get more information about the services. Sure as shit, wouldn't you know that call was answered almost immediately. It was still a few minutes on hold. And so I said to the guy, you know what? You can hear the hold music that I'm on the other one. Can you help me with such and such and such and such? No, I can't, but I can transfer you. And I was like, oh my God, so you're just going to go and dump me into the queue that I'm already in. And it was almost 2 hours of hold. Now, again, imagine if, time is money here. Somebody's wiping out my bank account or charging thousands and thousands of dollars. You want to get through to them almost immediately. I get your email. I call you back within 10 minutes. It's 11 o'clock at night. Again, I appreciate them being open 24 hours at least. And then I got to wait. And I thought, wow. So, that would be a moment where I wasn't necessarily polite. I realized this person's fault it's not their fault that I had to wait that long. And, they were just, but I was tempted to grill them and say, did you really have 2 customers, and like how long? You know. Speaking of grilled, food service. I last weekend, or when, I don't remember when it was. It was a while ago, actually, now that I think about it. We're pre-taping the segment. I've never been one of those people to take to social media to thrash a company. I might do it comedically, like I might do it as a joke. If it's really that ridiculous of an experience, I might do it. But I've realized now that almost gets you an immediate response, and customers or businesses have obviously recognized that and stacked their social media teams, to really respond to things right away. And so I've gone and just messaged them through social media for not necessarily food, but for like my internet account or my cable account. Hey, I want to add this channel. I just direct message them. And I was always leery about that because I thought, no, customer service, I want to call into their official number. I don't want this to be a transaction like I'm messaging a friend on the computer. But knowing that it gets you almost an immediate response, I'd ordered food. It was about 10 o'clock on a Saturday. Wow, all these things happen to my house very late now that I think about it. But I was just, now the apps will tell you which ones are the quickest delivery. So it was sort of like, you know what, I was craving this food. It's saying that it's the quickest delivery. It's fate. It's a sign. I've got to have it, right? That's the deciding factor. And sure enough, it was quick. But I had paid for, bacon on the chicken burger. I had paid for cheese. Well, the thing comes and it's just gross. It was the lettuce was sort of brownish. I didn't even get the extras that I paid for, so that was the big thing. And I took a picture of it, like all people do now, right? But here I am being that guy that I was always kind of just like, oh my God, this doesn't have to play out publicly. Like, why are you, shaming? Like, do you just have? And there are some people who their account. I mean, I've got a cousin who really just everything is just wrong in the world, and he just rants about, at this store this happened, this, and bullshit customer service, whatever. And that's my thing, is that I vowed just to not be one of those people. Also, too, I'm a public figure in a sense, right? So I don't want to, I remember going into a mall when I was in the height of my Winnipeg Cheapskate book that was in the newspaper and a weekly column, and everybody knew who I was. And walking into the mall around Christmas, and I heard somebody go, "That's that Cheapskate guy from the newspaper." And again, that's a real reputation that you want to have when you're going into, a restaurant or the hairstylist or whatever it is. Oh yeah, this dick isn't gonna tip, whatever, But no, so anyway, so the food was really bad. And the food app replied, I would have to look, within 10 minutes at least, maybe even 5. So kudos to them for doing that. And then because I had added the tag for the restaurant chain as well, and I got their branding in the photo. Again, I was just being snarky, I wasn't super pissed, but I want them to know, hey, I paid for cheese and bacon and I didn't get them. And it's not even about, well, it is, I guess, about taking the $3. It's not about the amount. It's about charging me for it and not giving it. That's the thing. So then the food app was like, oh, well, we've credited your account. No. You refund my money. This is the difference, right? Its service is not rendered, or, I did not get the cheese and the bacon. Yes, it's $3, but the point is that you can't just take and keep my $3. You didn't give me these items, And so, yeah, but that's something I'm very suspect of. When a company is very quick to just give you a credit, I want my money back. That's what I want. So, again, I give credit to the companies for quickly responding. Again, I mean, well, I'll give them a shout out. Dairy Queen, on a Saturday night, Dairy Queen are responding at whatever time. And again, it's whether it's somebody in a call center or just the poor social media person at home who has to be on standby. But really, when you go and look at a restaurant, like if you look at the Dairy Queen or any of them, right? It could be Subway, it could be, McDonald's, whatever. When you look at the amount of tweets, they have their promotional tweets that they all put out, of course. And then just when you scroll through, sorry to hear about that, Janet. Sorry to hear about that, Steve. Sorry to hear about that, Katie. Sorry to hear about that, Mark. Like, that's what their Twitter account is used for. And again, I've kind of looked at that and go, it's just so weird that you do this publicly. But again, the company knows that from a PR perspective, if you don't jump on that conversation and you just let the people carry on and thrash your brand, it's really bad. And so it's humorous to watch it from the sidelines, absolutely. But, anyway, tell me live at jbonair.com. Email me live at jbonair.com if you are a Twitter ranter, or sometimes it's even just funny to see the complaints that people have, live at jbonair.com. We'll be right back.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
We're out of time. Talk to you next week. Bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a Speak Free media presentation.
If you want some real heat,